Right, looking at the instruction manual, it clearly states there are 5 steps to follow. There's a parts list there on the left, and it lists each item, including all the nuts, bolts, washers and screws, and the main items to assemble this workbench. It looks very simple. The hardest bit to identify is item 3 because it's a bit misleading. The angle they've got that diagram is not 100% clear. Excuse me. Right, so what does it say? Right, so you need a screwdriver and a 10mm and 13mm spanner, which they provide. You have to take, right, the first step is the side bases. You take item 3 and you need to fully open it to attach it to the worktop, which is item 1. To fully open, press in the silver button on the side of the tilt mechanism and lift up the front until the unit is 90 degrees. Secure the side bases item 3 to the worktop item 1 with wood screw item 2. And that's quite simple. Let me just, can't quite see because the camera's blocking it. Number 2, open fully and lock the leg frames. Connect crossbars item 7 to the leg frame item 8 using bolts item 4, washers item 5 and nuts item 6. Make sure the crossbar with the Wickes logo is at the front of the workbench and facing out. That's not that important, but I will follow that instruction. Number 3, attach plastic feet to leg frames. Note the longest edge of the pads faces to the outside corner of the workbench. So they've called item 9 plastic feet and pads. That's a bit confusing, right, but I understand it. Moving on to number 4, place the leg frames into the side bases using the hex bolts item 10 with washer item 11 and hex nuts item 12 to secure it in place. The bolts should be inserted from the outside of the side base. Note handles are at the front of the workbench. Oh, that's pretty obvious. And moving on to number 5, insert chalk, so chap, into the appropriate holes on the workbench item 1. If there are any problems, contact your nearest Wickes store, blah 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 blah. Okay, that's very simple. Let's have a look at the items. Right, that's clearly identified as item 1 or part 1, depending on how you want to read the words. So that's quite simple. Parts 2 are screws and they're in the bag, and I'll show them separately in a moment. That is part 3. Parts 4, 5 and 6 are bolts and washers and nuts. That is part 7. These are the legs, and that's part 8. They are pre-assembled, just have to open them up and then attach item 7 to it, to item 8. But you start off by attaching item 3, which is that, to item 1, which is the worktop. You also have the plastic feet item, that's upside down, it was a 6, now it's a 9, item 9. Right, let's get assembling. I have unpacked the bolts, nuts, washers and screws and put them in separate piles. That is item 2. Item 4 is the small bolts. Item 5 is the smaller washers. Item 6 is the smaller nuts. Item 10 is the larger nuts, larger bolts. Item 11 is the larger washers, and item 12 is the larger nuts. Now let's bolt this together. I'll have to move these bolts, so have a quick look, wind the video back if you need to. The first procedure of assembly is to attach item 1 to item 3 using the wood screws item 2. Now it doesn't specify how and which way you screw it, but basically this faces the front, the one with the ruler on, and that would be up the other way when viewed from above. So that would technically go where the pre-drilled holes are, there. So using a Phillips screwdriver, line the holes up and place the screw into the hole and tighten as so. And I'm going to use my electric drill, and I've got it run the wrong way, and I put that mechanism on so it doesn't over tighten. Alright, that's done. So that's number 1 done. Next is number 2. We'll do that, and then we'll attach this part to the other part, and it's all finished. It's that simple. Fully extend the legs and attach it to item 7. Now they are clearly marked left and right with a little sticker on there. Then take item 7 and slide it over, lining the holes up, and connect using the small bolts, item 4, with 1 washer for each bolt, item 5, and obviously 1 nut, item 6. I'm not going to use the spanner they provided, I'm going to use my socket set, but I'm first going to put it all together, just finger tight, and I'll show you it then completed. And proceed to do the same thing for the other side and both edges, and then you'll have a completed leg frame. Place one of the smaller bolts, item 4, through the front face with the nut going to the back with a washer. That would be washer item 5 and nut item 6. And then simply hold the nut and tighten with a screwdriver. And you can use the little spanner they provide, and that is a 10mm one for the small bolts and 13 for the big one. And attach the other item 7 with the holes facing towards the top. Line the holes up and use bolts 4 with washer 5 and nut 6. You can now bolt the second leg to side 7 using the same method and the same bolts. The only thing you have to be careful about is getting it round the right way. Make sure this little indent there is on the outside face, so the reason the indent's there is to make the leg bow out slightly to give the bench more stability when you're using it. So you could technically put it back to front and the leg would be pointing inwards, which is incorrect. So looking from the face, you can see that is the right hand side, it's on the right. There's the Wickes logo on the front face and the left leg is there. So just bolt those together and just slide the bolts in like that. Now we've assembled the second part, I'm actually going to skip and go to the last part, is attaching the feet, and it's the long edge. You've got like a long edge there and a short edge there. Now the long edge on piece 9 or item 9, take that off now, don't need that. That goes to the outside, and by the outside perimeter of the whole leg. Now they're not the easiest to slide over. Right, I turned it up the right way. I have the Wickes logo pointing towards me, and I'll simply pick up this section which I assembled first and place over top of this piece, lining the holes up. And it's just a question of putting the bolts in, and I'm using item 10, there's 4 of those, with there's 8 washers, so 2 washers and 1 nut. So I'll just show you, you've got 2 washers, 1 nut and one of the larger bolts. As this is the tilt and fold down model, I will just show you what that actually means. It means by pressing the little silver levers, which are under here, you can tilt it up, preset to 45 or 90 from the horizontal. Right, as you can see, I've put this one on around the wrong way. To fix that whole thing's got to spin around. So that'll be on the back to front then. Right, okay, I've got a problem. I've got this one round back to front. I didn't notice that when I was assembling it. Obviously, you may encounter that, but perhaps after watching this video, you won't make that silly mistake. I'll be right back after I've fixed it. I've removed this worktop because I put it on back to, well, I didn't put it on back to front. I put it on with the lugs turned the wrong direction. Now, to make sure you don't make that mistake, make sure that the silver buttons are on the inside. The ones with the handles are pre-fixed, so you can't make a mistake. But the ones at what I call the back are, you can rotate them. They rotate 360 degrees. So if you've got the silver buttons on the outside when you first put this board on here, that's incorrect. They have to be on the inside. That concludes this then. Thank you for watching. I highly recommend these, and now you've got a video to show you how to put it together. You won't make that silly mistake that I made by not spinning them around the correct way. In fact, now I've got it together, I think personally I'd start off by sticking the rubber feet on to the main legs, then attach, can't remember what number it was, so I've ripped it off now. Number 7, that's the bit down there. Then I'll attach that to each together, and then I'll just bolt these on separately, and I'll drill them in position. I'll just put the bits of wood on there, drill it from that position there. It would be so much more simple. I could have probably done that in 5 minutes on how I'd done it that way. But never mind, it's together now, and I look forward to using it later. Thank you.